and is under review and being processed at the Cabinet of His Excellency. This is still within the ongoing first phase of the national decrees, requiring a significant effort to maintain. We are, seeking to maintain consistency with putting these LBAs at their current state, having them signed and issued. Despite recent delays, such as the budget handling, we've had some illnesses in between. We continue to ask for the cooperation of the staff and those who are looking forward to receiving their LBAs. As I said, the staff is small, but we are doing our best to be able to keep the consistency and ensure that everyone is able to get their national decrees in their hands as soon as possible. And that actually is bringing me to the end. I'm available for any questions that the media may have, and I will like to say that I will continue to work until day 0. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Richardson, for your opening remarks. At this time, I would like to invite the Prime Minister and Minister of General Affairs, Severa Jacobs, to address you. Prime Minister Jacobs, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Rolika. Good morning to you. Good morning to my colleague, Minister Ms. Richardson. Good morning to the members of the media present, those following via the broadcast. Of course, a hearty good morning and blessed carnival, safe carnival to the general public of St. Martin. Special congratulations, as was mentioned by my colleague, to all winners, but not just winners, all participants, because you are the ones that make the festival what it is. Your participation makes it what it is. So I did see that my statements made it at the back of the Daily Herald, but hopefully everyone saw my carnival message, albeit a bit late, and I do wish everyone a safe and happy carnival. I also would like to convey my sincerest condolences to the families who are going through loss, those who are still suffering after having put their loved ones to rest. It is a difficult time in the midst of the festivities, and we must take note of that. As a community, we suffer along with you, but we believe in God, we believe in the continuity of spirit, and so hopefully you will get used to the new relationship that you must now forge with your loved ones. Much strength to all of those, especially our civil servants, family, Mr. Leonardo Woods' family, who recently passed, and also a dear friend of the family and our political family, Miss Marelva Salmon. I'm remembering Mavis because of the sisters. Yes, indeed, this is a great loss, and we do wish the family much strength during this time. I want to say a great big thank you. Initially, I thought this would be our last press briefing, and that's why I couldn't avoid it, but it's going to be a bit rushed for me because I do have a very important for the London consultation to sign on with the other 4 countries for the climate agenda of the kingdom at 10:30. But I really want to take the time to say thank you to the civil servants, because tomorrow's promised to no one. And though we have seen a postponement in the signing in of the new ministers, I will take this time to say thank you for your hard work, your dedication, your continuous shaping and sustaining of our government. Without you, nothing can be done. And because of this, I would like to wish each and every one of you continued strength, as you know that your efforts are truly appreciated by me, for sure. Thank you for your commitment, and the Council of Ministers. Thank you for your commitment to serving our country and its people. As I reflect on these past 4 years as your Prime Minister, I am filled with profound gratitude. It has been an honor and a privilege to lead our nation, to work alongside dedicated colleagues like you, and to serve you, especially during the most difficult period St. Martin has ever had to face, and know where we're leaving it now. Your continuous support, your trust, and your dedication to our country has been a driving force behind all of our accomplishments. I am proud of the progress we've made together, and I'm confident that our nation will continue to thrive under new leadership. As I move forward, I will carry with me the lessons learned and the memories shared, as well as a deep sense of responsibility to our nation as I continue to serve. I will continue to advocate for the values that we hold dear and always be a staunch supporter of our country's pride and dignity. Thank you for your unwavering belief in our vision for a better tomorrow. It has been laid down in that national development vision, a shared vision by most parties on this island. So I have no doubt that it will be executed regardless to who leads this country, thanks to our very strong civil service. As we build Swaliga, I would like to address something that I'm noting in papers, the rhetoric about, like we are causing this delay for some reason. There is something called continuity of government, and we cannot walk away and allow the service that has to be rendered to the people to not be done because it is not yet finalized with the new government. As we experience yet another delay in the finalization of the swearing in of the government, know that this has absolutely nothing to do with this outgoing government and is solely dependent on the actions taken by the former tour and the choices that they make in terms of who they put forward as candidate ministers. We do have to uphold the integrity of the office, and we must ensure that the persons we swear in are of the highest level of integrity. So I trust and hope that in the near future that the seriousness and the responsibilities that come with being a minister are taken into consideration so that we can indeed swear in said government. I believe that transition has been long awaited. As mentioned, at 10:30, I will be joining the other three countries, the Netherlands, Aruba, and Curacao, to sit with the Minister for Climate and Energy and Policy of the Netherlands, Mr. Rob Jetten, to have the continued discussion and pertaining to climate with the other professionals who have diligently worked for some time. Our goal is to always advance and maintain the pathway for climate resilience and sustainability. A press statement will be issued after, and I thank also the State Secretary for her words of positive words uttered in her press statement in the manner in which she has worked with St. Martin over these last years. We have also experienced it as a good working relationship. Yes, we've had our ups and downs, but in all things collaborated in the best interest of St. Martin within this kingdom. And so I want to thank her for all these opportunities, as well as ensuring that we can continue to have the type of stability we have had for the past 4 years. I also wish the incoming Dutch government much success in having their government sworn in. Rolika, as I would have to leave, I would allow the media, if with your indulgence, to ask 5 minutes of questions before you move on to the next minister.
Thank you, Prime Minister Jacobs. We will open the floor as Prime Minister indicated. Judy Fitzpatrick of the Daily Herald, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Prime Minister, for giving us the opportunity to ask you these questions. So I want to start with the whole issue of what's going on with the swearing in of the new government. We see that there's quite a lot of uncertainty, It's on?
Yeah.
Yeah. We see that there's quite a lot of uncertainty that's happening, and my question is, what would happen? What is legally possible, Prime Minister, if come May 10th and the new government is not yet sworn in and the four ministers who can no longer hold both positions would, the minister, you both indicated that you will not be here, you will be moving over to Parliament. So what will happen? What is legally possible if May 10th comes and we don't have a new government? There has been some suggestions that the laws need to be clearly defined. I'd like to know, what are your thoughts on this? And the President of Parliament had indicated at a press conference on Monday that she believes that this whole process should be removed from the governor, the whole process meaning the swearing in or appointment of new ministers, and put in the hands of the legislator. Is this something that what is your position on this? And
Several
Prime Minister,
questions.
I know
Okay, we will allow Prime Minister to answer these questions.
I don't even think I can remember everything you asked me. Indeed, as I mentioned before, it is a process I've had myself. As formateur, you can insist to put forward persons who may have received negative comments. It is, yes, your purview to put that forward, but we are co-governing with our governor, and he has to ensure to maintain the laws. Sitting here, and as one of the media sitting there as well, understands the weight and the responsibility and the accountability, and it has even heightened over the years with more councils of state coming along, with more checks and balances. And so You do not want to put your government in a position where negativity can be pointed towards it. As you know, sometimes that still happens, but you want to avoid that. So there is a legislation on the integrity of ministers, and that is being adhered to. Persons who sign up to be ministers sign a form to be screened. Anyone, and we have been sitting in Parliament, who has been sitting in Parliament for more than 10 years, and hindsight is 2020. Maybe they should have worked on that over the period of time. This is where we are now. Yes, we wanted to deal with certain things within electoral reform, which is also finalizing a screening law. However, the priorities were the priorities over these past 4 years with the seriousness of what we were facing. We now have time, barring any unforeseen circumstances, for the incoming government to make those changes. But as of now, this is what the legislation is, and this is what we're using. This is what we have used for the past, I believe, 12 years. And so this is why we are sitting here, and that's why we've always campaigned on being able to come in as quickly as possible. As for the press conference of the chair lady, she's part of the coalition. I think she's the most experienced within the coalition, and I believe that she has a large voice, and I believe she should use it in convincing the formateur to put forward the persons who can be sitting within short. I do believe they have enough members, and so I don't expect that May 10th will become a problem. But should it come, prior to that, we would then have discussions with the governor, because we do co-govern, and the continuity of government is the priority of any government. And I don't think any incoming government would want to see government stagnated. So I look forward to collaboration and cooperation to ensure that the impasse does not happen come May 10th.
Thank you, Prime Minister Jacobs. Minister Edion would like to add to that.
Yes. Good morning, all. Good morning, Prime Minister, my colleague, Minister of Justice. Good morning to the media. Good morning to the people of St. Martin. Yes, I just had a comment to make in regarding because we have a lot of, let's say, frustration or even uncertainty in the public regarding the whole process of the swearing in. And all of us here already went through this process. Even Mr. Lee also went through the same process that the current coalition is also experiencing. So this isn't a new process. And it's even more, let's say, not concerning, it's even a little more hilarious. The ones that are making the loudest noise, for example, in terms of the process being unfair, they've also been through this process already, especially one of the new leaders of the coalition, right? So this isn't something new to him or them, right? And even so, for example, we are elected to parliament, right? That's our right, right? We're appointed as a minister. That's an opportunity, right? You're not entitled to be a minister. You get an opportunity to be a minister, right? And that's the difference. And if there are certain things that would tarnish the reputation of the Council of Ministers, those things have to be taken into consideration in terms of integrity. For example, if I can't imagine, for example, me being Minister of me having an opportunity to be Minister of Finance, for example, then I have 10 years backlog of taxes, or I've never filed taxes for 10 years, right? How do I then hold others accountable? But then I'm putting myself in that position. So, and I'm not saying that's the case, but I'm saying these are parts of the whole process of swearing in. These are parts of the integrity of going to be a minister. Last week I had an opportunity to meet and speak with a finance minister of Barbados. And he actually told me, he said, oh, you guys do it different. You guys do it after the fact. We do this to get on the list to run. So before you go on the list, they check already with your taxes and all the different things. So they do a pre-check before you get on the list to even run. So we are, he said, oh, you guys do it differently, all right? On top of that, we had a meeting, a press conference by the chair the other day, and the chair has been part of the most governments in the history of country St. Martin, all right, for the last 14 years. So this again, and the complaints didn't start now. The complaints started since 2010. Matter of fact, at every election result, in the swearing-in process, there's always been at least one person or one individual that had some issues with screening, right? So the opportunity was always there for every government to fix it. So the ones, especially for the ones that were complaining, they had the opportunity to fix it, right? We're the only one without a screening law. So for the last 4 years, members of parliament had the opportunity to fix this, and 14 years ago. Curacao has a screening law, Aruba has a screening law. One of them has one, for example, where it says you can't have a criminal record for 5 years, one has one for 10 years. So we have to establish now, what do we want? So we don't want a screening law, so we allow anybody to be a minister, or do we want to put some accountability parameters in there? And the fact of the matter is, we didn't do it. So now it is the process that we have now. And you signed the document to be screened. No one is forcing anyone to sign any document to be screened. You voluntarily signed this document. So now you have to live with the results. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Edion. I would now like to invite Mr. Emily of Island Itureti. You have the floor.
Thank you. For the Prime Minister, so as I understand the process, the formateur has submitted a report, or is submitting a report with the candidates that he would like to see as minister. The governor then has to agree and sign those decrees. And the understanding is that there's a couple candidates that the governor has an issue signing those decrees for. So in essence, the governor has, let's say, a sort of a veto authority in terms of deciding whether somebody passes the screening or not. What recourse does a candidate minister have in the event that the governor refuses to sign the decree based on his interpretation of the integrity needs of the country?
It's the co-governing. Again, the governor signs off on all national decrees. Appointment decrees are just one type. We have since this process has been incorporated, we have been following this process of taking the advice or the research that has been done by the legal antecedentenonderzoek. So they check into your legal behavior, whether you have running cases against you, and as a one-off, persons with investigations running are not seen as compatible with minister. Even if they might turn out to be innocent after the fact, you don't want to put the government, as Minister Arian mentioned, in that kind of a limelight that a minister is arrested for a criminal act. So once that person is under a criminal investigation, then that person is not eligible. And that is what some people say, not passing the screening. This is something I have experienced, that I've put forward someone, and at the end agreed then to have someone substitute. And so then we swore in our people. You can always also swear in not the full council and then move on in filling those other positions at a later time. So I'm very confused as to why that isn't taking place. So I will liaise further with His Excellency the Governor. I know candidates in the past have tried to use the courts. It has not been successful. As Minister mentioned, it is not a right. We are doing this based on compatibilities and incompatibilities. And there are certain things within the legislation on integrity of ministers that are not compatible with being a minister. All ministers would have to put down or lay aside any activities that they have that are business driven. We're a small island, especially. Maybe it's possible in a bigger country that you will continue to do your business and not have a conflict of interest with government. But on St. Martin, it's almost impossible. Your business would really have to be completely not related to anything of government. And if you already had something with government, contracts with government, you have to distance yourself from it, put it in somebody else's name, etc. So there's a lot of sacrifice that goes into being a minister that some people are not aware of. They think it's all honor and glory, but there is a whole lot that goes into it. And I hope that this process will be over soon. We've all been through it, and I am very much looking forward to being able to focus on being a member of parliament. Have a blessed day further. I'm sorry I can't take any more. The meeting is a virtual meeting with the 4 countries, and I cannot disrespect their time like that. So I will say goodbye at this point, and until next week.
Thank you, Prime Minister Jacobs. We will now move on to the second and final round. Judy, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. I'm not sure if Minister Arian would be able to answer this question. It was a question I had for the Prime Minister. Shortly after elections, the Prime Minister had indicated that a transition document would have been prepared for the incoming government. I would like to know what is the status of that document, and she had also mentioned that parts of it would have been publicly available. And when would that be available, and where would the public be able to access that? And my question for you, Minister, the QR codes.
Questions.
The QR codes. You had indicated when you were promoting the whole issue of the QR codes that certain mechanisms would have been put in place. So, for example, the police would have had scanners where they would have been able to scan the codes from a distance. Cameras would have been outfitted with special technology to be able to detect certain things in the QR codes and so forth. So I'd like to know, are these technologies now in place? I see quite a number of vehicles driving around with no QR code on their windshield. And with the fact that we don't have plates now, it's not so easy to identify it. So does the police have the scanners where they can scan it, and are the cameras equipped with the technology? And thank you.
Yes, so I'll try to answer the question on the Prime Minister first. So regarding the transition document, every ministry and every minister is responsible for their own transition document. For the Ministry of Finance, I can say yes, we are done, and it was also our intention to find a way to be able to publicly post them. So we have to make sure that all that is legal and kosher. But yes, we are done. I'm not sure if every other ministry is up to date with that. I'm pretty sure the majority are. And regarding the QR codes, the technology is there. So we already have the application for the apps for the justice, the police officers. Regarding what I said for the cameras, was the technology already exists in the camera. So the cameras are able to do this already. So I don't know, I'm not sure they finalized the process already, but the cameras that we have are capable of doing that already. And regarding the QR codes, I know when I checked a couple of weeks ago, for sure in March, we were so the same period last year, we were about $1 million more. So in terms of income, we were doing better than last year. So if after, I mean, you said you don't see a lot of QR codes there, but I could say for sure that 2023 March versus 2024 March, we were at least $1 million more than last year. So of course we could always do better. And I think once enforcement kicks in, it's always the case over the last, with everything in government, I would say, you see an increase in their revenue. Yes, so the scanners is no, so it's not scanners. So it's an app on the phone. So we developed an app. So the scanners on the phone is an app. So then that app could scan. So it's not a separate like device. It's a device specifically only for the police officers, with an app that only they can, let's say, log into.
Thank you, Minister Edion, and thank you, Judy. Emil, you have the final question.
For the Minister of Finance, my question's related to Enya, and there's multiple parts to it. So the Central Bank of Aruba managed to avoid the issues that have happened to St. Martin in terms of Enya Life. What structural changes have been made to the central bank in order to prevent that a similar instance happens where, like an Enya Life issue? In your press release, you mentioned that the Enya Life will be separated into the old and new, and the old will be run off, meaning that they won't take on new customers. So it means that the demand for cash is not a linear demand. It's going to be times when it's more and it's going to decrease, but the payments appear to be linear. Are the Enya Health and Property also contributing to the solution? I don't see in the press release any contributions from Enya towards making the pension holders whole. And in the resolution, you talk about St. Martin is 6.49%, Curacao 93.51%. Is that only in terms of responsibility of payment, but also in terms of ownership of one of the entities?
So there's a few questions. I'm trying to remember all of them. So regarding the accountability, the governance, as I mentioned before in Parliament, that part of governance, it's human, right? So we could put a lot of parameters in place, a lot of restrictions, a lot of rules, but at the end of the day, we're dealing with humans. So what happened since that time, we have a new president of the bank. So we made changes in terms of people, right? A new president of the bank, new board. St. Martin now also has the potential to put a chair, which hasn't happened, I think, ever. So what we did was change the people aspect of it. On top of that, now we have increased accountability. So in terms of the checks and in terms of how not to have the situation happen again, that has also increased. So there's more parameters in place. Regarding yes, so you're all right. So the runoff means that as time goes along, if people pass away and stuff like that, then it gets less. And sorry, the other question was regarding.
So the demand for Enya old Enya life is not linear, but the payments schedule appears to be a constant, same amount every year. So I don't understand how that matches the needs for the company. And then the other part was about the percentage, the 6.49 and Curacao 93.51. Is that only percentage in terms of responsibilities of payment, or is it also percentage ownership in one of the Enya entities, or is it only about the payments?
That's about the payment. That's about the payment.
Okay, thank you, Minister Edion. Thank you, Mr. Lee. Members of the media, this does bring us to the end of the question and answer session. Any further questions can be sent to the Minister's Cabinet in writing. Honorable Ministers of the Council, members of the media, radio listeners, and online viewers, this brings us to the end of the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, April 24th, 2024. For rebroadcast, tune into www.stmartingov.org, St. Martin Gov Radio 107.9 FM, Telemcell TV Plus Channel 15, the official Facebook page of the Government of St. Martin, and the YouTube channel Government of St. Martin. For video on demand, log on to the Government of St. Martin's YouTube channel. On behalf of the Department of Communication and the Government of St. Martin, I'm Rebecca Roach and wishing you a pleasant day further.